Still iBrand Daybreak, moving on to the focus for today, where the lawmakers in the National Assembly will get 70 billion naira allocation from President Bola Tinubu's 819 billion naira palliative meant to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy on Nigerians. This followed the passing of an amendment to the 819.5 billion naira 2022 supplementary budget by the National Assembly on Thursday, July 13, 2023. The amendment was passed in both the Senate and the House of Representatives a day after the President sent the request to the Parliament. And a breakdown of the sum showed that 500 billion naira will be domiciled in the Finance Ministry. To be domiciled in the Finance Ministry has been earmarked to provide various palliatives to soften the negative impact of the fuel subsidy removal on the citizens. The detail showed that the Ministry of Works and Housing will get 185 billion naira to alleviate the impact of the severe flooding experienced in the country in 2022 on road infrastructure across the 6 geopolitical zones. Further details revealed that the sum of 19.2 billion naira has been allocated to the Ministry of Agriculture to ameliorate the massive destruction to farmlands across the country during the severe flooding experienced last year. In addition, 35 billion naira will go to the National Judicial Council, 10 billion naira to the Federal Capital Territory Administration for critical projects, and 70 billion naira to the National Assembly to support the working conditions of new members. To have this conversation with us this morning is a public affairs analyst, Mr. Matthew Oluku. Good morning, sir. You're welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Billions and billions of naira earmarked for different stuff. The lawmakers in the National Assembly will be getting 70 billion naira out of the entire 819 billion naira that is going to be collected. It has raised a lot of dust. It doesn't sit well with civil rights organizations, doesn't sit well with the average Nigerian, because the only thing ringing in their heads now, I mean the average man on the street, is that the president and the government has said that each home will receive 8,000 naira. And you know how conversations like this grow like wildfire. Most people don't even understand how the 8,000 naira is going to come about, but because it's in the news and it sounds very ridiculous, people run with these stories. And of course, the 70 billion naira, lawmakers have come out to say that it's not like it's going into their pockets. They want to use it for infrastructure, help new lawmakers coming into office to settle in and all that and all that. In all this conversation, we want to know what your approach to it is.
Once again, thank you for having me. Though people are trying to give it different nomenclature, but I think what is clear is the spending in the right direction. But even if you say it's not palliative, even if you say it's to enhance the working condition of new members, are there no constitutional provision on how new members will be settled? So I don't think, for me, I think the spending is unnecessary. I'm being careful because I don't want to use a word that is look derogatory anyway. But for me, I think it's a reckless way of spending public fund.
All right.
Because we are looking at a country where, if you look at the last poverty index from National Bureau of Statistics, it says about 133 million Nigerians are extra-dimensionally poor. And the Constitution is unambiguous about the primary purpose of governance, that the primary purpose of governance shall be the welfare of Nigerians and their security. So to that extent, what we're expecting a new government to start looking at how you improve the life, the welfare of these people who are below the poverty line. So spending that amount on what I call the new members of the National Assembly or old members for me, I think it's unnecessary. Because we are looking at people who are already living in affluence. And because if you look at the last election, the APC Senate nomination for expression of interest is 20 million for senators, 10 million for House of Rep members. If you look at PDP, it was 3.5 million for senators and 2.5 million for House of Rep members. So these are people who are already living in affluence. Why then do you waste scarce resources on them? I'm not saying they are not worthy of their wage. As being marked by Revenue Allocation, Mobilization and Fiscal Commission. But this type of spending for me is unnecessary. Because you look at how you want to address the issue that came out from the subsidy removal. You are targeting just 8,000 for one each household, and you are looking at 6 months. And if you look at the number of senators and rep members, senators you have about 109 senators, rep members is about 360. Put together, you are having about 469 members, and you are giving them 70 billion in the name of whether you call it palliative or to enhance their working condition. And if you do simple arithmetic, if you now divide 70 billion by 469 members, you are getting about 149 million 200 something thousand naira. That for me is excessive. That amount can buy you a property in Lagos. In some places in Lagos, it can buy you 2 property. In some places, it can buy you a property. There are some places it may not be able to buy a property anyway. But for me, I think it's a reckless way of spending money.
We wake up to these conversations about monies. We can understand the federal government's need to borrow. We can understand whatever it is that those borrowings are earmarked for. But the whole 70 billion naira allocation for lawmakers to help cushion, okay, we don't want to call it that, fine, to help them settle into office for all that English. Do these people wake up and just earmark monies? Are there processes to it? We know they have their wages, their salaries, and the things that are accrued to them for being in the position, in the office that they are. But for how these 70 billion naira has been described, it doesn't look like it's constitutional. Is there a backing to it?
No, normally what National Assembly does as part of their responsibility has to do with appropriation, government spending. That is why the executive is not right to spend any money that is not appropriated. But unfortunately, we are seeing a situation where it's not being abused. Because apart from the remuneration that falls under the purview of Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission, when it comes to government spending, it is their prerogative right to appropriate. But even as it's their right, I feel it's abuse of right to start appropriating to yourself, or whether it's the executive that did the design and start approving such amount for yourself under this situation where we are trying to see how we can come to the aid of vulnerable Nigerians in terms of meeting their financial needs. For me, I think that money would have been put to better use. And I encourage the 2 tiers of government, I mean the executive and the legislature. I'm exonerating judiciary because I don't think they're involved in the whole budget, the supplementary budget issue, to rescind that decision and reverse it. Because for me, I don't see, it doesn't add up, it doesn't make sense. It's a way of wasting public fund. These people are already living in affluence. Somebody who can afford nomination and expression interest form that costs 20 million naira, 10 million, 3.5 million, 2.5 million, and the case may be, is not poor.